Okay, we are back. So, the Wolves, they just own the Nuggets, man. Everyone knows I picked Nuggets in 7, and the question was the elite offense versus the physical, tough, defensive team that didn't take the regular season seriously enough, although the Nuggets also didn't take it seriously enough. And the Wolves just said, nah, we're good. Gobert can guard Jokic. I mean, Jokic was better the last 2 games, I understand, but Gobert did a much better job than I thought that matchup was going to go in the one-on-ones. Jokic didn't make his jumpers. Jaden, he's just a terror to Jamal Murray. And then whatever insane offensive performance they needed along the way, whether it's Io having an out-of-body experience or then Jaden just cooking on Murray or Spencer Jones. Same thing with Terrence Shannon. You know Wolves fans are so happy to see Terrence Shannon going off. These guys are not worried about Jokic at all at the rim. They're not worried about the Nuggets defenders on the perimeter. You got Gobert making nice passes on the roll. And we all know without Gordon, the Nuggets just have no chance on defense. But when Dante and Ant and now Io are out, you don't get that excuse. Watson was out too. I know, that's big. Also, shout out Randall and Nas. And so we'll talk about Wolves Spurs at some point. Hopefully Ant plays. For the Nuggets, before we do like the future of the Nuggets and all that stuff, Jokic has exited the best player in the world convo. SGA now has the consensus title. And depending on how the rest of this thing goes, maybe Wemby could jump the line a little bit. I mean, it's not normal for a guy in his 3rd season to have the best title crown, but if the Spurs, if they beat OKC and Wemby's amazing, then okay. But, they got to deal with the Wolves first, whatever, we'll see there. Could he become the consensus number 1 guy again? I mean, yeah, but he's going to have to make it pretty obvious. Look, there's no defense for Jokic. Like, yeah, he was better the last couple games, but it doesn't matter. I mean, what Gobert did to him for like 3 straight games especially, you don't see often like a guy at the top of the league slowed down by one dude that much. And the defense wasn't good. So is the championship window closed? I'm going to say right now it is as close to closed as it can be without actually being closed because Jokic and Murray are in their early 30s. I know they have a huge Wolves problem, I know. And then we get to the Peyton Watson free agency conversation where, yeah, teams are going to have offers for him. He's a restricted free agent, and the amount of money you might have to go to in order to keep him might be uncomfortable for you. But if the Bulls just come through with a big offer, what else are you going to do? And then it becomes, well, would they look to shed salary? If we're forced to have those types of convos, it kind of feels like Cam Johnson would be the odd man out, which really sucks given what you gave up to get him. The distant pick and MPJ. Now, if you can hold on to him, cool, but at that point, you're like definitely in the second apron. Man, do you want to go to the second apron with a team that none of us would pick to beat the Wolves if they met in the playoffs next year? The answer could be yes, I don't know. Also, my bad if I make any CBA mistakes or if the numbers aren't exactly right. Now, an idea I've seen out there is, well, would you look to trade Aaron Gordon because you just can't trust him to be healthy? The reason that's tough is because you're just not going to trade Gordon for someone who's as good as Gordon, who gives you everything as a defender, an athlete, the lob threat with Murray and Jokic. He's gotten better from 3, especially on his corner threes. The only way you could do that is if you had a bunch of picks that you could include in a trade with one of these guys, but they've controlled this year's pick, and then they've got like a 4-year-long protection, and I think after next year, it will clean up a little bit, like their future picks and what's available to them, but that's after next season. And Christian Brown is here as well. Maybe some people would say, no, they should actually look to move off of Christian Brown. Whatever. Emotions are high after playoff losses. Takes are high. I'm sure there's a lot of Nuggets fans that just want Adelman gone right now. I don't know if that's a realistic thing to expect. What I will just say is the closest thing the Nuggets have to being as good of a defensive team and as athletic as they can be around Jokic and Murray is a Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson trio. And that specific lineup, according to Databaller, played 0 minutes this season. Christian Brown, 44 games, Gordon, 36 games, Watson was 50-something or whatever. And if you could manage all that while Hardaway is still here being a flamethrower off the bench, that'd be cool. I just, aprons and all that right now. And then I think they could also use like a good defensive big off the bench who would be cheap. I understand that. But Valanciunas, I mean, regular season-wise, it was mostly fine, but he just was unplayable. He basically just didn't play the series. I mean, he got to 10 minutes in the last one, and he was 4 for 4 for what it's worth. But yeah, I mean, Zeke Naji, he's been here for a while, but he's never really taken off like that. They drafted Deron Holmes, I think, last year, and he missed his whole first season and didn't play a whole lot this year. We'll see. And then after that, there's really not a whole lot here. I mean, if you want to go more aggro and like really look to change this whole thing besides Jokic, because I've seen a little bit of that online, again, they don't have picks, and even if you doubt Jamal Murray is really that dude when it comes to going up against a physical defense, even if he did have his best regular season, you're not going to get a better player than Jamal Murray as the number 2. Like, it's going to be him and Jokic until the wheels fall off. Also, Spencer Jones is a free agent, and I know that he's not as big of a deal as Watson, and teams don't guard him because of his jumper, but he gave him good defensive energy this year. So I don't know. Look, if Rudy Gobert is just suddenly going to take Jokic's lunch money from him when they meet in the playoffs from here on out, then, well, you're just never going to compete for a title again. But assuming that you can just maximize the athleticism and all that and pray to whatever basketball god you believe in that Gordon and Peyton Watson could be healthy for a playoff run, then I suppose it's still in there. But yeah, look, man, it's very possible that we just saw the one Nuggets title and that was it. Yeah, missing out on those 2 runs from with the Murray injury, like, that's really rough, but they also just weren't good enough in other opportunities. Like, they were up in that Game 7 against the Wolves a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying. So we'll see. The big thing is Watson. Shout out to the Wolves.